Dear Dish Diary. Just kidding, I'm not doing dishes. I'm sitting on my couch. And the thought that keeps coming up and what I want to share is sharing information, tips and tricks, talking about your experience when you have depression or you are a depressive person and feeling like, well, who am I to give any advice? Who am I to talk about my experience like that could be useful to somebody else? Because it feels like I should have made something of myself, or I should be successful, or I should be doing better, whatever that means, in order to tell you what I do so that maybe it works for you. Because if it isn't really working for me, if I'm not quote unquote getting better or doing well, then isn't what I would tell you to do, isn't that proven to be poison? If I don't make it out of this and you are adopting tips and tricks that I have been utilizing to help me deal, does that mean that you won't make it out of it because my tips and tricks are inherently poisonous? So, those are the barriers keeping people that struggle from sharing how they deal with their struggles, because there's this idea that if the accommodations I make, if the tips and tricks and life hacks I use to get through my day worked, I wouldn't feel like this. And my counter to that is that if they didn't work, you would not be here, right? And my counter to this entire idea of needing to be a certain level of successful or accomplished or happy or healthy in order to share how you're living your life because maybe that helps other people. Um, what I hear a lot in kind of the, I don't know, like the coaching community and the teaching community is this phrase of like, well, are your toilets clean? Because if your toilets aren't clean, like, how can you give me any advice? And the idea there is just that. It's that, just what I'm talking about, is that if your life is in shambles, if your life isn't spick and spam, if your toilet isn't even clean, then what kind of condition is your life in for you to be advising or teaching or mentoring or being a role model to me? And my biggest pushback to that is that as a melancholic depressive person who has like a high mess tolerance, if your toilet is clean, what could you possibly have to relate to me with? If your toilet is clean and you're trying to tell me about a depression hack, you don't get it. So hopefully I do make it. Hopefully things do get better. Hopefully I use the tools and tips and tricks of the depressive trade to see me through the day to day, and it sees me through many days. And I am alive for a good many more years to bemoan that my toilet is not clean. Clean enough, um, maybe not clean enough to advise other people on how to handle their depression, but clean enough for me to sit here and shout into the void about how I'm surviving. And maybe that does help people. Maybe they take the tips and tricks that I have and they use them more responsibly, if that means anything. Maybe I am a good, bad example and someone uses me as like a cautionary tale. That's still information. It's all information, right? So, with all of that umbrella idea about the barriers often keeping my voice quiet or the ideas I have to share unshared, and how I try to push back against them. My advice, if that's what it is, my experiences that I'm sharing, are not really meant to be advice. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. If you have no idea and you're drowning and you're floundering within the melancholic, modern Western world experience, and some of the things that I share are helpful, that's the whole point, right? I like to be helpful and informative and like info dump on people, but I'm probably never actually going to talk to you, especially if we're both depressed in our houses. So if this is the only way to share my tips about moving slowly or like actually developing self-compassion instead of just throwing the word around, um, and yeah, kind of restructuring yourself and your life and how you approach everything and how you talk to yourself so that it feels like the future is something you care about getting into instead of just an eventuality that you have to like that you're just going to end up in anyway, I guess. You know, am I perfect? Do I feel like that all the time? Do I feel like I have it figured out? No. Am I here many years past when I ever assumed I would be? Yep. Have I learned a lot in the past, specifically 5 years? Yep. Could any of that be helpful to anyone? Either on the, oh, that's helpful, I'll try that, or the, well, since she's telling me about it, I certainly don't have to do it because that's a bad idea. You know, either actual help or the cautionary tale, good, bad example, right? Yeah, so it's all going to come out here. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share today. I continue to do my dishes every 4 or 5 days, uh, and that's working out for me. And yeah, talk to you later.